So it took white supremacists to march on Washington before a lot of these rappers out here actually considered this as something real. But yet all these people voted for Biden. What do you think is actually going to change? What up YouTube, Topaz Jake's back for another review, and this one is to that Griselda, that conflicted soundtrack joint. And before we jump into the review of this project, first I got to give you context. First I gotta tell you my thoughts of this leading up to this project in order for you to gather an understanding on how I came to these conclusions. But if you feel as though you already know everything there is to know about Griselda, then feel free to fast forward to this point here. So where do we begin? Griselda, all the entries involved in it, haven't we been here multiple times before? See, this record label didn't just flood the market, they pretty much made it so that we need to get Noah's Ark out here, you dig? Like, they've released music on top of music on top of music for multiple years, not just last year when I really begun keying in on them. And I got nothing against that, man. That shows discipline, that shows focus, especially for a mass collective of individuals to put in this much work. We haven't seen it like this since No Limit Records, you dig? Which, much respect, but my problem is when you're not pushing forward and all you're doing is making the same songs over and over and over again, then ultimately it's redundant. Like, if you're gonna put in the work like this, you have to continue to upgrade, continue to get better, or people might get bored of your material. The fan base seems to continue to eat it up for some reason. But let's look back at some of the projects briefly that came out last year. You had that Conway the Machine, FKTG, where that was whack. You had that West Side Gun, Who Made the Sunshine, that was trash. Had that Benny the Butcher, that Burden of Proof, well, that was cool. I definitely enjoyed that one. That was one of the more well-rounded projects that they released for that year, man. But honestly, I feel as though the best project that came out was the Black Soprano Family. Then Amani Seizure came out with something too, and that was pretty trash as well. Musically, 2020 was not a bright point for these individuals, but yet they remain focused and they have become more of the biggest MCs through that year because of the work ethic of putting out music, not so much the quality of it. Which brings us to this conflicted soundtrack. Now, why are they dropping a soundtrack? Because they are legitimately dropping a movie. And you can see the trailer of it on YouTube right now. And if straight to YouTube streaming was a thing, this trailer says that. This movie already looks like it's terrible. It looks like it's State Property Part 5. Staged in Buffalo. And I love it because bad movies are just as entertaining as the good ones. People just take these things way too serious. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of moments in this that's not supposed to be funny, that's completely hilarious, and I cannot wait to watch it. And this album, though, man, I would say it was good. It was definitely enjoyable. It maintained my attention. You get the lyrics that you wanted, and there's a solid collection of tracks on here, and it feels versatile. And it's not versatile because all these MCs are so different and versatile as individuals. No, because they have like 20 artists on this label that all do just one song, one style. But yet when you throw all of those together on one project, then it becomes the project that you hope that all of these individuals would do. And when you get Dave East, Lloyd Banks, Wale, Ransom on top of the huge collection of artists, man, you see that the potential of this label is way better than these individual artists. But let's go ahead and break down some of these songs, man. Like, my absolute favorite song off this would be the first song, that Mobbin'. One, because that production was by far greater than pretty much most of the rest. This song definitely set the tone for where this project was going to go, where we all pretty much knew where it was going to go. But this song shows the quality level was above average, and maybe it's because this is the first movie that they're putting in the maximum effort for this one. My next favorite song was that Element of Surprise with Lloyd Banks in there, and I'm like, wow, 2021 Lloyd Banks is delivering quality music like he did when he first came out. This joint was absolutely solid, on top of having actual messages that you don't really get from Griselda projects like that. Well, what he's saying is, do not tell all your business and do not tell all your moves to people, because if you do that, you're going to find a way to lose. And this was absolutely correct. Love that song by Lloyd Banks. Welcome Home DMX was cool, but not one that I'm going to keep on my playlist. And the reason being is because this is one of those examples of having too many chefs in order for there to be an actual concept, where you can tell this was a Dave East song here. He had a quick concept on talking about how to keep out of jail and showing love, and that's where the whole title of DMX came from. But when other people hop on it and don't really care about the whole premise of what you're trying to say, it becomes a redundant song and it takes away from the caliber of it. That Squad song definitely had potential. I enjoyed listening to it, but it's again not one that I'm going to keep. And it's because of that dry, spaced out, no percussion style that Buffalo MCs have been riding for quite some time, man, and it easily can mess up a track that had potential of being successful, and this is an example of that. And the last track that I feel as though deserved to be spoken of would be that The Nerve of You by Armani Caesar. Now I feel as though Armani messes this one up because there's so much meat still left on this bone that she did not eat on this one. You did, like, the concept, simplistic, is one that's enjoyable though. It's talking about the nerve of individuals to break up with you and have a bitter breakup when you did all this and this and this for them, and then you start talking about how you lived through the fact that they played the game dirty and all that stuff, which solid stuff. But in the grand scheme of life, women do this, but they only do it for people who's making a lot of money, who's ultimate providers and stuff like that, the people that are in demand. That's who women will take all of this nonsense for, and that's why you hear the complaining and stuff from them. But yet, if that was somebody who was broke, guaranteed she would leave off the jump. Definitely some solid joints up off of this, man, but we all know what we were here to come get, and we talking about them balls. And I said this all last year with the Griselda projects. The Griselda team are different variations of E and J. E and J being super rough and raw and uncut, that if you drink it, it'll burn a hole in your soul and hit you in your chest. Super harsh and unrefined, but yet the fan base have the taste for it, so they can continue to drop the same exact music over and over and over, and it will work for them. Now, some of the more notable bars off this project was that Wale, you coughing up blood like you Gangrel. That was cool. For those who don't know the reference, Gangrel was a wrestler from WWF who was a vampire, like, where he would come out spitting blood and all of that stuff. Especially to do that on a song with Smoke DZA, who does a whole bunch of wrestling mixtapes and things of that nature with those types of punchlines that he never even done. To my knowledge, at least, he might have. I believe it was Chase Fetty that said, like Mutombo with this block-ish. Well, that was pretty cool because Mutombo was known for blocking people all the time, but he's more talking about his block, his hood. And then I like this bar on how they say you criticize rap without crafting a bar. It's like talking about sex but can't unhook the bra, which that was a pretty solid punchline. I ain't even mad at that. Even though, you know, a lot of people probably look at it like, he's talking about you. No, I'm a better rapper than most of your favorite rappers. Overall, a solid project, man. I definitely enjoyed listening to it for all levels of it, from the lyricism to some individual songs that had concepts, and just overall quality production songs that didn't have concepts. Now, I don't feel as though it's a perfect project by no means. There's definitely a lot of room for progress for them to get better as a conglomerate and putting out projects like this, but I can't complain, especially given the past projects for all of last year in least. I give this joint a 7 out of 10. Peep that joint on out.